Members of the American Shire Horse Association. I apologize about that. Members of the American Shire Horse Association now bring you the Shire. The Shire horse traces back to the English Great Horse, and the Great Horse in turn traces back to the Flemish horses, who are also the forebears of the Frisians. The Flemish horse was brought to England during the 12th century. They were noted for their size as well as for colors and markings similar to what we think as typical for the Shires today. The English Great Horses had been used both on the continent and on the British Isles as war horses. But as England became a world power, whose wars, when they occurred, took place far from the island, the Shire was used more in farming and commercial trade. During the 1800s, vast quantities of goods were shipped both to and from English ports, and the Shire contributed dramatically to the movement of these goods at and around the docks. At the same time, farming developed a need for strong, docile horses that could work the fields of either the flat, marshy fen counties or drier Yorkshire and Lancashire. The stockmen of Britain selected for a horse to fill these needs, as well as those of the streets of Liverpool and London. Historically, the Shire has been massive. Early in this century, they were routinely called the largest of the draft breeds, although there is probably more variation within the breeds today than from one breed to another. The modern Shire is hitchier than its turn-of-the-century predecessors as breeders have responded to market demands. The most common colors are blacks, bays, and browns, with the blaze and white legs as preferred markings. There are also some grays and even fewer roans and chestnuts. The American Shire Horse Association was formed in 1885 using essentially the same criteria as had been used in England for the Shire Horse Society stud book. There were regular entries in the book until 1955 when activity ceased for 6 years. The breed was down to less than 50 horses, and only a few dedicated breeders in the Northwest held on. In England, after World War II, the Shire breed suffered a similar decline, even as late as 1965. New registrations with the English Shire Horse Society numbered only 35 stallions and 58 mares. In 1967, a yearling colt was imported to Idaho, providing a critical infusion of new blood. Since then, several hundred more horses have been imported, so that the Shire today includes a higher percentage of recently imported breeding animals than the other draft breeds. Today, the American Shire Horse Association estimates that there are about 2,150 registered Shires in North America, and about 175 new horses are being registered and 150 transferred each year. The use of Shires for crossing on light horse breeds to produce sport horses is gaining in popularity, and the association now has a registry for first-generation Shire sport horses. Shire sport horses are athletic horses that inherit the gentle temperament, free shoulder movement, and powerful hind quarters of the Shire, which makes them ideal for sports such as jumping, dressage, and fox chasing, but are also capable of Western disciplines as well. The American Shire Horse Association supports and registers these Shire crosses to recognize the Shire parent. The display before you today represents the diversity of the Shire horse. The American Shire Horse Association has the pleasure of presenting Shires in hand under saddle, a horse-driven single, and others driven in multiples. Here in the ring is Claudia Jorgensen with her 3-year-old gray filly, Rice Creek's Adele, more affectionately known as Dixie or Dixie Pearl. How about giving us away, please? Yeah. She's being worked today with in hand with future ambitions of training her to ride and drive. Claudia is the owner of Wolf Creek Farm in Gandyville, West Virginia. Also in the center of the ring are 2 yearling Shires, one being a black filly named Rice Creek Giselle, led by Dan Hubble, and the other is Rice Creek Apache, a gray colt led by Dan's daughter, Teresa. Dan Hubble is the owner of Rice Creek Shires in Traverse City, Michigan. Dan and his wife Barb and 4 children have been involved with the Shire breed for the past 10 years. Their farm began in 1978, and along with Shires, they raise pasture-grazed livestock. They enjoy their horses by using them in parades, petting zoos, and occasionally exhibiting at local shows. Dan Hubble is the president of the American Shire Horse Association. And we have riders with us today. The first one is Decoy Ben, being ridden dressage by Charlotte Kurtz. Ben is a 9-year-old Bay Shire gelding, standing 18 hands and weighing in close to 2,000 pounds. Ben was imported from England as a yearling. In 2005, he was named Reserve National Champion Stallion. He's won numerous ribbons both in halter and under saddle. Prior to being gelded in 2006, Ben sired 2 foals. Ben is a very versatile horse, with a lot of charm, a wonderful disposition, and even prefers the company of people over other horses. Charlotte rides him both English and Western, shows him in the cart, and is becoming a seasoned trail horse. Ben is owned by Phil and Charlotte Courts of Grazing Acres Farm in Alliance, Ohio. Also here for us today is Trailite Select Lad, being ridden by Christina Fozio of Romans Ranch. Lad is a 10-year-old stallion. Lad has been shown successfully at dressage schooling shows, having earned high scores in some of his first tests. He continues to learn many new things in his training and will eventually move on to higher levels. Christina started her farm in 2001, located in Litchfield, Ohio. She enjoys riding and driving her Shire. Lad was her first, but she has since acquired 4 other Shires, including another stallion and 3 mares. Back in the early 20th century, local freight was hauled by great teams of horses and wagons, much like the ones you're about to see.
He's in that building across the way. I don't know. Send him in. Pull the riders out and send him in. All right. Okay. I can't. They don't have phones. Okay, we'll just send somebody in.
The first team with our black and white wagon is owned by Dr. Richard Hurt and his wife Seth. Pulling the wagon is a pair of Shire mares, Rickshaw Princess Bright Star and Shire's Hall's Lily Bell. Dr. Hurt is driving. Dr. Hurt is a primary care physician in West Jefferson, Ohio. His farm was established in 1965. During the last 30 years, the Hurt family has raised and shown Shire in the Midwest and Eastern states. Their first Shire was purchased in 1975, Newton Dainty, an English registered and imported mare. This was the only Shire in Ohio for several years, and she was the first Shire shown at the Ohio State Fair Draft Horse Show in more than 30 years. Soon the interest in Shire spread in Ohio and throughout the country. In order to obtain separate judging for the feathered breeds in halter and hitching classes, Dr. Hurt collaborated with several Clydesdale owners to form the Ohio Regional Clydesdale and Shire Association. This feathered breed organization has successfully convinced many county, state, and national shows to include joint and separate classes for Shires and Clydesdales. Now in the ring, driving the red wagon is Todd Riddell with a fancy unicorn hitch of black Shires, Flash and Maui in the wheel and KC in the lead. This style of hitch was often used when more pulling power was needed on the heavier loads through narrower streets. Todd and Emily also enjoyed the versatility of the Shire horse, training most of their horses to not only drive but ride as well. They used their Shires for several different events, including parades, shows, trail rides, plow days, and their grand event each year, Equine Affaire. The single horse being driven at the cart is Trailite Mystical Star. She's owned by Todd Riedel and being driven by Todd's nephew, Josh Riedel. Misty is a 5-year-old Shire mare, and she's used for many events, including trail rides, parades, and shows. Trail Life Farms is owned by Todd Riedel and his fiancée, Emily Cullison, in Seville, Ohio. The American Shire Horse Association invites you to visit their stall on the Horse and Farm exhibits located in the Gilligan Building to see these horses close up and talk to our representatives. They're along the green wall. Please stop by and visit and talk Shires. We'll welcome our earlier participants back into the arena and let them work for you for a few moments. That is indeed a handsome sight. How about another nice round of applause for the Shire horses, their drivers, riders, and handlers.